Hey everybody, back with another video. This is Jack Lick's Arcade Tech Repair Journey. About 6 months or maybe longer ago, I did a couple videos on the CR70 tube restores. I bought this one initially and it failed the field test, and I think there's a bad transformer in it. And so I bought another one so I could actually verify what the behavior was. I actually haven't got to that. This thing worked and I didn't feel like tearing it apart. I will link to the video where I did the field test on this right up there. But what happened is I actually received or got another CR70 that is damaged pretty bad. It was left, it's rusted. And so just to show you the inside of it here, it's kind of messed up. You can see rust right there. Now, yes, I could probably restore this, but it was sold at a good price and I don't really feel like restoring this one. It was kind of a pain in the butt. The foam where it holds all of the adapters was all disintegrated and stuff, and it's a mess. The good news is that these things that hold the manual in place are actually intact, which is actually kind of nice. They're not broken. See that there. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this apart and I'm going to power it up, and we're going to do a field test. Oh, look, this is even, the on-off switch is even jacked up, right? So who knows? I don't know what I got, honestly. This thing could have been removed already and parts removed. I don't know. We'll see. All right, I got it out of the case. Not very easily. A couple bolts are completely jacked up and broken off in it. There's one down here that's rusted. So quite a bit of rust on the bottom side. I kind of cleaned it up a little bit already. Some rust on the top side. This screw's bad. But that's okay, because I'm not really super worried about keeping the case or anything. And already some good news. So I unplugged. You'll have to watch the other video real quick, but this is to the transformer. There's a transformer right here. Puts out, I think, 2 voltages. If I go back and watch my video, I'd be able to figure it out. But one on my previous video, the red, I think, was actually an open winding. And we get 213 ohms. We had infinity on my other one that's not working, and 2.9 ohms there. Hopefully y'all could see that. I didn't. Yeah, 213. So that's the good news. I'm probably going to go ahead and plug this in and see if we can actually do a little bit of a field test on it, just to see if it works. I mean, I don't think the guy I bought it from actually powered it on. Who knows? But let's do it real quick. I don't know. We'll find out. If it gets jacked up, it gets jacked up. Now, one thing is, it did come with sockets, but did not come with a universal adapter, which kind of sucks. Field test. K's on. Filament is on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Go filament set. It's on. And we're able to adjust it. It's on filament voltage is set to 6, so I can just crank it up if I need to. That's 13. And we can measure that real quick. Get our universal adapter filament volts. G2, F1. F2. 15.7 volts. Oh, I have them backwards, obviously. I guess this is DC for this part anyway. There we go. Let's go to 6. Here's my and it's a little off, but it's alright, we can adjust that. Adjust that down to 0. And let's go to 1. Can you see that okay? 3.2 volts. I don't know. That's okay. That's not why I got this thing. Alright, and so this is where my other one failed its test. Red lead to G1, black lead to K. You can see this. Go to remove G1 short, press the restore reju function, get 400 volts. About 414, that's what we're supposed to get. So that is good news. This thing is probably working. Which is great because I'm gonna figure out what's wrong with my other one and swap parts around. There's probably more tests to do as well. All right, I might as well show the rest of the functions. So went to cut off, bias, negative bias. I still have leads on. Black on K, red on G1, I think, right? Yeah, red on G1. Bias negative 20, negative 36, negative 52, negative 68. It's a little off, but not bad, as you can see there. The other thing is we already did the remove short. Reju should be 350 volts. More than 350, so it's like at 420, which is good. Auto restore, we go to milliamps, press the auto restore, we should get 120. 3 times. There you go. Manual restore 120. Manual restore 2 about 150, greater than 150. So at like 170. So there you go. And let's see, we did cutoff. Did we do a cutoff yet? We did bias voltage, cutoff. All right, cutoff, I have to move stuff around. Positive to G2. Positive to G2. And we should go DC volts. Alright, and let's see here. G2, when the cutoff controls adjusted voltage, should swing between 20 and 400 volts. Yep, it's definitely adjustable. All the way up to about 420 and down to about 6 or 10 volts probably. So this thing is working. Alright, I'm not filming everything, but I got the transformer out of my donor one here. I'm waiting to derust this part to get that lower board out. So this will definitely be a parts thing. It is working, which is ideal, obviously. And I have the transformer out. Now the transformer has, I labeled it, there was one goes to the power switch. I believe it's switching the hot, and then neutrals are tied together. So, but other than that, it's got like at least 3 windings. And I haven't looked it up yet, but this is, hopefully we can see that. Is that upside down? That is the transformer part number. So, I don't know. We'll see. I mean, obviously I have, this thing cost me as much as a replacement transformer would have anyway. So I'm not really worried about finding a replacement, but you get the idea. Let's see. Get that shit off of there. I'm not going to film everything, but to get this whole unit out of the case, basically there's a few screws. There's one in the front right here, and then I think each of these feet on the bottom, and then 2 screws, whoops, on the hinge side, right here and right here. That's what holds it in. So I am not going to film that because it's a pain, but remove those screws and I'll be able to get that whole thing out of there. Alright, so this is my working one. I have it hooked up and red to, oh, that's wrong. Red to G1. Red lead to positive lead G1, and I think black to K, right? Let's turn this thing on. So it turns on, which is fine. I'm on filament volts. We're going to go to remove G1 short, and we should get 400 volts here, right? And you see we get nothing. If I go to rejuve, should get the same thing. Auto restore, if we go to milliamps, we should get what, like 120 milliamps? Nothing. Nothing. If I go, I know my heater voltage, I think it's working. We showed that in the last vid, in the video I linked to before. Let's go there. This is F2. Boom. I must have it wrong. Let's go there. 9 volts on my heater. Oh, 6 volts. There we go. 6 volts on my heater. That's interesting. Look at the heater volts when I change to rejuve. Auto restore. Auto restore cranks up the heater voltage. Yeah, I'm not shocked that it does that, obviously. As I've covered that in other restore videos, like even the CR7000 will increase on certain restore functions, increase the heater voltage so that the so that K is heated up more. All right, but I'm not getting into that right now. All right, let's power that off. Unplug this thing. Just to show this is an open winding, if I can do this, I'm sticking this in there. In the red, this goes to the transformer up here, right there. And I'm trying to do it with one hand, which kind of sucks. Alright, couldn't do it that way. So we'll do it this way. Red, nothing. Yellow, 2.8 ohms, right? So, is it the transformer, or is it maybe it's not connected correctly or crimped correctly? That would be crazy, because how would it ever leave the factory tested correctly? I guess. But anyway, I'm going to remove this transformer here, and I will cut this connector off and just test it and make sure that the transformer's bad. But I'm going to remove it anyway. Alright, yeah, I cut off the ends, and it's definitely shorted. Like I got nothing there. So on this one winding. The other windings seem to be okay though. But that transformer is bad, which is rare because I haven't got too many transformers. Now what I'm worried about is this lower board bad and actually made the transformer go open winding. I'm not sure. So I'm almost tempted to swap this complete thing out versus testing it. I'm not sure. I'm a little bit worried about that as an example. So alright, I have the transformer in there and wired up to the switch. This is our smoke test. If I plug it in, I don't know why I'm getting 1.2 volt reading. I'm reading the 5 volt, supposedly 5 volt line on these CMOS chips. When I got it in my other video, it was like 7 volts. Alright, let me see. Alright, it's on. Still 7 volts. I don't know if that's normal or not. Let me see what I can do to test this further. See that in this board, these connectors go to the other board, so like there's certain power being generated on here. I might want to look at the schematic a little bit more. Alright, I should have done this before, but I unplugged basically the connectors of the transformer just so I could get some measurements on what they're supposed to be. Let me turn this thing on. Alright, on the blue wires, 25 volts AC. Unplug that. Let's get yellow. .22 volts on yellow. Almost 200 volts on red. Okay, cool. Wow. That's like a step up right there instead of down at 120 volts. Alright, I wanted to record that on video because I didn't have that information and it's not clear. I don't think the schematic actually says it. Then it comes in, gets rectified on this board, and I don't know, I want to troubleshoot because I'm getting 7 volts on the 5 volt line and I don't know where exactly that's coming from. So I want to hook up the other board to this, even though it's slightly different. This system is slightly different. See, there's a little extra board right here on this model down here, and I don't know what that's doing. The other one doesn't have it. Alright, after looking at the schematic quite a bit more, the 5 volts, or what they claim is 5 volts, I don't know if it is yet, comes from this connector here and from the main board, or from board 200, which is that big board in the back, which gets fed from the transformer, like the filament volts from the blue lines. So I don't feel like, obviously, you know, it has nothing to do with this board, the 5 volts being bad. There could be something else wrong with this main board down here, but that's not what's causing the 5 volts, because it's being generated up here on this main board. So rather than screw with it more, I figured I'd throw a little bit of the caution to the wind and just put everything back and let's see what we got. Alright, here we go. I got my red lead on G1, black lead on K. Alright, remove G1 short, we should get 450 volts, or about 400, north of 350. I want to make sure nothing bad happens. Alright, looks like that's working. Reju should get the same thing. About 400 volts. Alright, auto restore. Got to measure current. Should get 3 cycles of 120. Oh shit. What's that mean? Did I do something wrong? Yeah. Something's not right with the auto restore. Says common fixes TR101, L101, IC05, and IC105 or 106 or cold solder joints on the restore button. Well, it looks like we still have something to do, I guess. No, that's not right. No, that's amps. Duh. Let's go to volts. Alright, cool. I was making sure that we weren't getting worse. What's crazy is there's no fuses and stuff like that that I could find. It's kind of nuts. Auto restore, milliamps. Nothing. Yeah. Alright, well, cool. Well, I mean, not cool, but I'll have something to look at. Alright, let's see here. I hooked up the old one back up, put the bad transformer, repinned it out, wired up the switch, power switch there real quick. But you don't need that transformer, the whatever voltage this is, like 100 and something and 20 something. We just need the blue going to the main board, and then the rest of the stuff hooked up. I think it comes into this. I don't know why it needs additional connections, but it does. The whole reason I did that is so I could actually see if it's truly 5 volts or, you know, I'm basically testing my donor 5 volt generation basically. So let's turn it on and go to voltage, and we'll come to negative and positive. You get 7.8 volts. So these are CMOS chips, so I think they can take higher input voltage than 5 volts. So obviously my working board is correct there. And I did all that just so I could verify that voltage, because I didn't know what to expect. It says 5 volts on the schematic. If I bring that over, where does it show it at? See, I don't know if you can see. It says 5 volts right there, and that comes in on the CR10 on the what's that? Oh gosh, I always forget. But on this side of the diode, and then that comes from this board over here, somewhere over here. Where did it get generated at? No, that's the switchboard. Yeah, it gets created on the switchboard from somewhere. Oh, over this area, right there. This is the connections right there. So it's in this area. Maybe part of the LM324 or something like that. Regardless, it seems like my working system is okay. So we gotta look at something else. Well, I was messing with this thing and I kind of figured it out. I can't talk. Anyway, I have it on auto restore and don't have it on yet. But you notice I have my cover off on my on my meter. I had replaced, well, actually I checked TR1, I replaced L1 with the other board that was working, and it still wasn't working. So I was like, hey, let me try, instead of milliamps, I'll power it on. Is it on? Yeah. There's my milliamps. Hit my restore function. Nothing. Weird, right? Or I got that diode reading. But if I go to amps, 115 milliamps, 0.115 is 115 milliamps. So hold it down. That's one cycle, 2 cycles, 3 cycles. All right. Then move it to manual restore. Now it's supposed to be about 120. That's pretty close. And then manual restore 2. This should be like 150, 170 milliamps. Everything's working great, right? So it seems I turned it off, by the way. Somehow, when I was testing, my milliamp fuse seems to be busted. Well, you can't see that. Look at that. That's why I wasn't able to get a reading on it. Like, I wasted like several hours, and all it turned out to be was the fuse in my damn meter. For that part of it anyway. So it looks like replacing the transformer actually fixed this thing from my spare. I mean, all it was a bad transformer. Nothing else is wrong. I mean, or I can't tell that it's wrong. So let me put this thing back together, and I have to find a fuse for this thing. Alright, well, this is the second time that I've blown a fuse on this exact fuse. This is the one that's blown. Can you see that? Good one, because I had a spare. I had ordered this. Crazy. I guess maybe I shouldn't use the milliamp feature unless I really needed to, I guess. For microamps, I guess. So. Put this thing back in. It's better to put it on the top going up first. Crazy. Can't get that countersunk to click in. But you get the idea. Let me put this thing back together. Well, that wraps up this video. I don't know how interesting it was, but anyway, I have a spare parts thing with a bunch of spare sockets that I'll probably list on KLOV. And now I have another working CR70, which I'll also probably list for sale. I am looking for a service manual that tells me how to adjust this thing, but we'll see. Until then, guys, maybe I'll do some more videos on CR70. Cheers.